Hello, my name is Mark Epstein. I am director of the California Environmental Technology Education Network based out of Sacramento, California. And I am here at Rutter Middle School, which we have been working with and involved since the 2014-2015 school year in the utilization of geospatial technology, particularly web mapping, as a instructional tool. And for those years that Rutter Middle School has served as our primary middle school field testing site and location for developing both materials and methods. And this has been an exciting year here at Rutter Middle School in this area, that this school site has gotten a lot of recognitions from a number of organizations, and culminating at the end of this school year with the Story Map team sweeping the California Story Map competition. For the first time in that competition, of having a single school site in the middle school division, having all 5 of its entries being recognized, with 4 of them being placed and 1 getting an honorable mention. So we are going to talk to a couple folks, and we're going to meet the students from the Story Map team. I am here with Sonia Rambo, principal at Rutter Middle School. And first thing I'd want to have Principal Rambo is describe as far as Rutter Middle School, its community, and the student body.
Yes, so our school is a Title I school. It's a low-income school. We have about 90% students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged. We also have about 35% English learners, representing at least 16 different languages. Our students have a lot of needs, and a lot of social emotional needs, as well as economic needs.
Okay. And my second question, given those demographics here at Rutter Middle School, and also given that most of the schools that are participating in the Story Map competition are from much more affluent communities, what do you see as some of the built-in disadvantages of the students here at Rutter that they have overcome to effectively compete against their peers at these other schools?
So one of the main disadvantages is just that socioeconomic disadvantage. The students often do not have a lot of parent engagement involved parents, and it's also a lot more difficult for them to go out to within the community and outside of the community to collect data. So it's really difficult for them to get out and get that data for their story projects.
How about the computer access?
Yes, so many of the students don't have internet access or computers at home, so their only time to work on their projects is at school. So that's a real disadvantage for our students.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rambo, and I thank you very much for your support as far as this year, and obviously the support over since before you came from the Rutter staff of being able to utilize Rutter Middle School as really, at the middle school level, our primary field testing and development site on the materials and the methodologies. Thank you. I am here with Dr. Karen Sanko, and Dr. Sanko has been the teacher that I have primarily been working with the most here at Rutter Middle School since 2014, primarily with the development and the continuation and modification of the web mapping mini course. So, and it was from her students from her computer applications class, which were where the students came from, that made up the Story Map competition that successfully competed. So, first question I have is, what would you attribute to the success of your students?
Well, I think the quality of the 8 lessons that they did originally, and then having them help the other students around them be able to do that which they were having trouble with, increased their abilities.
Okay. So as far as on the students that we had, as far as the teams, how were those students selected?
Based on the quality of their story map that they made for history, their skill level was assessed, I guess, by you. And from there, there was about 11 students that came, and we told them what it was about. Several of the students opted not to be part of the team, and then the rest of the team paired up, and that's how we ended up with our team.
Okay. And how much time would you say that it took the students to complete the project, and also given that Principal Rambo had already stated when we did our video clip that the disadvantage of the kids, that a lot of them don't have the computer access, so it was primarily here at the school site during class time?
Right, we did, I would say 99% of it in the classroom, and it took 3 to 4 weeks if you add in all of the research that they had to do in order to get the foundations for their maps.
Okay, so I thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure working with you all these years, and very pleased as far as the success and the recognitions that we have been getting during this past year.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks.
Okay. I am here with Kyle Nguyen, and as far as his project was on the changes in high school participation and football, and in the competition it got an honorable mention. So Kyle, let's tell me about what your project was about.
Our project was about the amount of income compared to the percentage of change in the participation of footballers in schools.
So Kyle, what was the most difficult part of working with the intercollegiate lead data?
The most difficult part was probably the 800 schools that we had to find the latitude and longitude of, and because this took the longest time and it was just draining of energy.
In your details page on your write-up, you mentioned that you were looking at Department of Education data on the ethnic makeup on the different high schools, but you ran out of time to be able to get that in there. What were you looking to do with that, as far as with that ethnic data?
We were going to find the ethnic data to compare, no, not compare, but to see if the ethnicity of the footballers changed anything about them participating or not participating.
So as far as working and doing your data analysis and comparison for these patterns, what was the most difficult part that you find in analyzing that data?
The most difficult part was probably having the mindset to actually see the differences because they didn't really pop out much.
Okay, so Kyle, I thank you very much, and congratulations for getting a honorable mention. So I am here with Jose Coronado Uribe, who did the topic on the campfire, which placed 5th place in the competition. So the first question I've got you as far as Jose is, tell us about your project.
Well, my project is about the campfire. It has 8 slides in total, and each slide talks about something different. Like the first 2 slides are like about the campfire, like the description of it, and paradise after the fire. And 3 and 4 are like the time lapse. There's a time lapse of it from the view, and the spread in days. I think so. Yeah.
So what part of this story interests you the most?
The part of the story that interests me the most is how much the campfire burned, and that it became one of the deadliest fires, and it happened like not that far, a long time ago. So, yeah.
So it's fairly contemporary.
Yeah.
So what was the most difficult thing in completing this project?
Well, the most difficult thing was trying to find layers online for like the spread, and just like videos of the time lapse, because there was not that much.
If you had more time, what might have you added to the story?
I would have added more on the impact of the economy and how it impacted the surrounding areas and people.
Okay, Jose, thank you very much, and congratulations. I am here with Natalia. How do you say your last name?
Yeah, it's Natalia Magdaleno.
Okay, Maganilo and Viet Trong, and they did their project on digital literacy in Sacramento County, and their entry placed third place this year. So tell me about the project and the map that you did, and what was its overall theme?
Its overall theme was digital literacy, and what it basically was about was comparing average income areas to schools that had pathways related to digital literacy or jobs that were related to digital literacy.
So in your project, you had a number of different data sets. So what were some of the things and difficulties you had dealing with some of the different data sets, and were some of them easier or more difficult to deal with than others?
One of the problems with the data sets was trying to find their location, since some of the places didn't list them or weren't easily found online. So then we had to just find them in their district or area, and sometimes we had to remove them since they weren't listed.
So what are some of the new things you learn about the connections to about having digital literacy skills and to employment opportunities?
Well, the thing is, digital literacy is gradually growing, and so is technology. And so in our workforce, most work opportunities are using more technology, and we need to be able to learn the basics of technology to be able to get more job opportunities in the future.
So what new things did you learn about the connections between digital literacy and future employment opportunities?
The new things that I learned about digital literacy and the connection to the workforces are that the technology is growing in our world, and more work opportunities are involving technology. And
so you had, with the multiple data sets that you did, and you were comparing to the average income, what were some of the difficulties in analyzing those data sets and those relationships?
The difficulty with analyzing some of the data sets was like sometimes the patterns are very clear or didn't have a pattern, unlike the one that we have the youth groups that are in a high average income, but some of them are like not very clear or they're pretty hard to tell.
That's good. Okay, so thank you and congratulations on placing third in the competition and well representing Rutter Middle School.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I am here with Stanley Vang and Akari Song. The project they did was the Deer Creek Hills, which is in eastern Sacramento County during the gold rush, and their project took second place in the competition. So first thing I'll do is ask us, tell us about your project.
Our project is about Deer Creek Hills and the gold rush, and it's about when the gold rush happened and what the gold mining, of how the gold mining affected the area at the time.
So of the 5 projects, yours was the only one where you guys actually went out in the field collecting data. So you want to tell us what you thought and what that was like?
I think it was pretty cool because we got to see the actual gold ditches and the spots where they did the hydraulic mining and where they set up the steam donkey.
So what did you find was the most difficult thing in completing this project?
Doing the writing, like typing up the facts and looking for the links for images.
So what were some of the things that you learned about this topic by doing this project?
Some of the things I learned was that they used hydraulic mining, which affected the ground really bad because it destroyed most of the land. So the land slid down the hill for their sluice boxes, and once they got the rocks in the sluice boxes, they threw out the rocks. So they just left out the nature there.
Okay, so thank you very much and did a very good job on the project. So I am here with Isaiah Tao and Xavier Munoz, who placed first place in the competition, and their topic was their map was on the Tubbs Fire. Okay, so my first question to you guys is to tell us about your project.
The project is about the Tubbs Fire and what happened during some of the days that happened during the month of the fire.
So tell us about your project as far as the Tubbs fire. What were you looking at about the Tubbs fire?
We were looking at the part of the test fire we were looking at was the hospital admissions and the air quality.
So as far as on those data files specifically, what were you looking for?
We were looking for where there was more hospital admissions and where the air quality was worse at.
So my next question is, how did you decide on the geographic area for your study?
We decided the geographic area of our study on the places which had the worst air quality and were in the dangerous.
So what was the most difficult part of working with the air quality data?
The most difficult part about working with the air quality data was when the air quality station didn't report that day, so the data might be a little bit skewed.
So what was the most difficult part of working with the hospital admissions data?
The most difficult part about working with the hospital data were that it was sent in a way that we had to make it from scratch and reformat it in a way that ArcGIS can read it.
So what were some of the difficulties in analyzing the data from to find the patterns that you were looking for?
Some of the problems with finding the air quality pattern was that some of the stations were reporting, so the pattern got skewed.
Thank you very much, and you did a good job as far as in taking first place. And we will know in a couple weeks how you guys do in the national competition.